it indicated that the NRM candidate Museveni, spent approximately 900 billion. Now, when you look at our target of 9 billion, it is 1% of what the other person spent. But our model of politics is different because ours does not involve bribery, does not involve buying votes and things of that nature, and there is no corruption in our party as compared to theirs. So for us, even with the minimum, if we get 9 billion, we'll be able to run a campaign like never before. So we appeal to the people of Uganda, here and abroad, support this effort. We are able to finance our campaign and be part of that change that we are talking about. When we are launching, I mentioned that we don't want tomorrow anybody to say, Twarwana. It should be all the people of Uganda saying, Twakwarachi, Twarwana. So, ladies and gentlemen, Waiso has introduced me and rightly so as the Vice Chairperson of the National Consultative Forum. The National Consultative Forum is the platform that brings together all the political parties in Uganda. And you have had people talk about dialogue, you have had people talk about tolerance and discussions about the politics and future of this country. This is the institution where such discussions take place. And I'm Vice Chairperson in exercise of the mandate by the National Unity Platform. This is evidence that all that gossip, all that idle talk from our detractors, that the National Unity Platform does not want to engage in meaningful dialogue with other actors in the country is empty and false and should be challenged. Number two, there has also been a discussion about IPOD, membership of IPOD or non-membership of IPOD. Ladies and gentlemen, before I think last few weeks, IPOD was an NGO. But some mischievous people, because they thought they would compel National Unity Platform to do certain things, went on a mischievous mission of making IPOD an institution of the state of Uganda, and they amended the Political Parties and Organizations Act. But in doing so, they were not very smart. They thought they would compel us to belong to some organization. They didn't know that we are not just in the National Consultative Forum, but we are already the leadership of the National Consultative Forum. So IPOD now is a department in National Consultative Forum. Like if you have a school and the new department is introduced, it doesn't mean that the school has been taken away. So the National Consultative Forum now is being rebranded. Say that the parties that are represented in Parliament will be meeting here and the department called IPOD, and the parties that are not represented in Parliament are meeting in a different department. So I thought that as the Vice Chairperson of the National Consultative Forum, I should explain this. Number two is the question of public funding of political parties. I think you have had a lot of idle talk from especially the NRM propaganda machinery that NUP does not want to participate in IPOD activities but picks IPOD money. Ladies and gentlemen, the funding that NUP receives from the state coffers as a creation of the law has got nothing to do with that NGO that people have been meeting in. Number two is that public funding of political parties was not born in Uganda. It has been in existence for very many years ago. In fact, in some countries like America, the conversation started in 1907. Today, public funding of political parties is practiced globally in over 100 countries. But in none of those countries is funding of political parties tagged to going for meetings and taking pictures with the head of state. Because if there is meaningful discussion and dialogue, you do not need to compel people to come and meet with you. But because they feel that on account of their conduct, meeting with them, interacting with them has become so shameful that they must force people to go and talk with them. So this new creation of comparing people has got nothing to do with the public, but it's just a mischievous scheme to compare us, to go and engage in conversations with them. But like the young people say, Basanze Tukorachi, Turaba. Now IPOD is a department of the National Consultative Forum. And I have mentioned that NUP, which I represent in that forum, is currently the vice chairperson of that forum. So we have a duty continuously as NUP teach those mischievous people that you don't build a country by using underhand methods. But we know that their objective and mission is never to build the country, but to extend their patronage system. But we have a duty then to give this information to the people of Uganda so that they can be able to challenge those lies that are being peddled by the propaganda machinery of the regime. Twate banaigana ntipande ngeno tunoonya sente za kutambuza campaign era netubeera ne target nti campaign eno bwe tufuna biliyoni 9 zijja tuyamba okutuuka buli wamu, zijja tuyamba okufuna posters ezimala, zijja tuyamba okulaba nti abantu baffe abamu abalina obusobozi obw'okukulembera naye nga tebalina sente ngeza nominations tubasapootinge. Tukimanyi nti abakenkufu aba research aba Alliance for Financial Monitoring nga twakava mu kulonda kwa 2021 bafulumya report eraga nti candidate Museveni mu kulonda yakozesa biliyoni 9. Kati ffe zino zetuli mu kusolooza twagala 1% yezo Museveni ze yakozesa mu 2021 kubanga aba NUP enkola yaffe ya politics ya njawulo ya Museveni ne NRM kubanga bo biliyoni 9 baagala za kugulira abalonzi, baagala za kufinansinga obumenyi bw'amateeka, naye kezaffe twagala fuel, twagala posters, twagala nomination fees. So kyovolaba target yaffe abamu bayinza ogiraba ng'entono naye tumanyi abannayuganda betunoonyamu ssente ssaawa zino abangi bali mu mbeera mbi wa bukulembeze bubi bwa gavumenti ya Museveni. Si bwe kiri? So target yaffe ebyo byonna soose ne tubitunulamu. So twebaza abannayuganda abaakavaayo ne babagira omulamwa guno, ate tubasaba bongeremu amaanyi ku luno ensonga eno tugiguse weyina okugwera. Ensonga y'okubiri, Waisa bw'abadde ampita wano yabategeezezza nti nze amyuka akulira National Consultative Forum. National Consultative Forum ye organ omukago ogw'ebibiina byonna eby'obufuzi mu Uganda. Ensonga ze bazze boogerako nti ebibiina birina okwogera, ebibiina birina okukkiriziganya ku nsonga ezimu n'ezimu, ebyo birina okukola ki? Ebyo bye tulina obyogerera. Tugamba nti bwe wabaawo ebirina okwogererwako byonna, platform entuufu ye National Consultative Forum. Kati bano abazze nga baagala junafiya nabo batuuse ku level ne bakkiriza nti aba NUP kye babadde boogera kye kituufu. Ne baleeta ebyo bayita iPod ebadde kibiina kya bwannakyewa ne bagikola department mu National Consultative Forum. Era ne baddamu ne bakola n'ensobe endala mu prosite eyo nti ekibiina kyonna okufuna support okuva ku ssente z'omuyi w'omusolo kirina okusooka ne kigenda ne kituula ne Museveni. Okusupportinga political parties nga bakozesa ssente z'omuyi w'omusolo tekitandikidde mu Uganda, kiri mu nsi yonna. Wetwogerera kiri mu mawanga agasoba mu 100. Mawanga agamu nga Amerika ebyo batandika byogerako mu mwaka 1970. Naye mu mawanga ago gonna ge njogeddeko 10 nga kuliko n'amangi agali mu Afrika, teri awali akakwakulizo nti ekibiina okufuna support okuva mu state coffers kirina okusooka ne kigenda mu meeting ne kyekubya ebifaananyi n'oyo ali mu ntebe. Naye abaakuno kubanga bamanyi nabo ndowooza nti kiswaza okutuula nabo n'okwegula nabo ebifaananyi nga kisinziira ku neeyisa embi gye bazze beeyisaamu, balabye bwe batateekako obukwakulizo obwo abantu tebajja kukkiriza kutuula nabo, so ne baleeta akakwakulizo ako ge tuwakanya kubanga bagezaako okunafuya idea eyandibadde ennungi bo ne baagala kuyisaawo ebyabwe. So kansuubire nti ngezezaako okinyonyola bulungi n'omu Luganda. Mwebale nnyo, mwebalire ddala.
And as further created a learning environment for human behavior, since most of us here come from different walks of life with different behaviors, our stay here has been fruitful with results of patience, tolerance, persistence, resilience, and discipline. We have been equipped with knowledge of leadership, skills, and some of us here are going to contest as candidates in our respective electoral areas. It is better to note that an army led by 1 lion surrounded by 100 sheep can defeat one led by 1 sheep surrounded by 100 lions. Mr. President, your representation. That knowledge about our learning experience that has equipped us with values of the party and philosophy. Your Excellency, the President, and fellow graduates, leaders are made but not born. We have been prepared and baked into stable leaders. It is right to note that in this area of leadership, the world has never witnessed an impactful and strong leadership like that of King David. We are blessed to be in this generation led by you, Your Excellency, Mr. President. In my conclusion, as the iron grew, education is the movement from darkness to light. Your Excellency, indeed we have seen the light. Fellow graduates, ladies and gentlemen, with these remarks, we need to rise up and fight for good governance. Thank you for listening to me.
Mr. President, colleague leaders, our graduates, I'm told you came with some of your parents. We do appreciate you and everybody else. We want to congratulate all of you who have been through school for the past couple of months. Thank you for taking off time to study, to add value to yourselves and to this struggle that we are doing. You see, education is in various forms and shapes. I'm sure Dr. Spire will tell us, hopefully. You know, there's the education you attain when you go through a formal structure. You go to a university like at Makerere where Dr. Spire teaches, and you study a diploma, a degree, a master's, PhD, and you get a transcript. There's education that you attain through short courses like the ones you have attained through our NUP School of Leadership. There's education that we get through this school called the world and life. And that's the lifelong education that we attain. And hopefully, we get to learn and become better citizens and all of that. But I want to congratulate you. Thank you for taking off time to better yourselves. You see, for me, as far as I am concerned, we are ready and we have got what it takes to run government at all levels. At all levels. Because you see, sometimes people think, you know, it is okay when the top is good. Our president is a lawyer. We have several educated people, Harvard and so on. It's a graduation, Muzidaba. That's a good thing. But we don't want it to be just at the top. At all levels. Because you see, we need leaders at all levels in this our country. And so from what I see, we are ready to run government. So people who had any doubts, are these people ready? Do they have what it takes? We are here, we are ready. People came from the bush, they didn't know what to do, they could not speak the English you're speaking, they had not even a single qualification. But for us, we have said, let's get ready. So that it's one thing to remove this regime, which we are going to do very soon. It's another thing for us to successfully run government, and this shows that we are ready to run government, to change this country, to better the trajectory of our country. And that's what we are doing. Nelson Mandela once said that education is the most powerful weapon that you can use to change the world. That is true. And maybe that's why this government has refused to focus on education. Because uneducated people are very easy to roll over. They're very easy to manipulate. We have always made the case, UPE, Universal Primary Education, which is supposed to be a good program. Capitation grant that is given money to run the schools to cater for the educational needs of each child is 20,000 shillings. Not per week, not per month, not per term, per year. Just think about that. 20,000 shillings allocated to each child as capitation grant in the UPE schools per year for the whole year. And somehow that child is supposed to compete with schools, private schools, the good ones, and so on, to compete with the rest of the world, not just locally here. It cannot happen. And that's why we remain raw, we remain in a vicious cycle. And for us in our alternative policies, we have always said, let's increase this capitation grant. If we are serious about educating this young generation to become the kind of leaders we want them to be, let's push it up. In fact, for us, we have said at the bare minimum, let's multiply it by 5 at the bare minimum for a start. So it is still at 20,000 shillings. That's why we have said severally, let's pay all teachers very well, not some teachers. Because what government decided, let's pay just the science teachers well. How about the arts teachers? The arts are important too. Because they're all teachers, they've qualified similarly, they teach the same man hours or woman hours. Let's pay all teachers well. Because when you don't do that, these teachers, they become lethargic. You can force them to go to class, as was the case, because Mr. Museveni called them to State House, intimidated them and said, go back to class quickly. And the poor teachers have gone back to class. But they're not teaching as they should be teaching. They're not passing on the knowledge they should be passing on. Because they're not well motivated. So they will be in class, yes. They will hold the chalk, and they will not pass on the right content to these children. So all of those things affect education. And so this government is deliberate about frustrating education. Because when people remain there in that state, research has told us that children who are in P7 in UPE schools, they cannot do P2 work. That's the research that was conducted by an entity called Wezo. Children who are in P7 UPE schools, they cannot do work of P2, but they're in P7. Then they'll go to secondary and so on. So they remain shallow. That's what we want to change. That's what our government is going to change. Very deliberately. So that we become a better country. So that people who are educated can challenge leaders. Because when you're not educated, you've been seeing Mr. Museveni moving around. Those poor people at whatever age, elderly, they'll kneel down and he gives them an envelope, which has, I don't know, maybe 50,000 or that kind of thing, whatever amount. But somebody who is educated, somebody who knows the value of them being a citizen, will be challenging the leader and saying, no, before you give us those envelopes, where are the roads you promised us? Where is the good healthcare? Where is the good education, infrastructure, service delivery, and so on and so forth? So that's what we want to do. And we have begun it here. So we congratulate you once again. Twagala okuyozaayoza abasomi bane mwebale kusoma muyogeyoge okusoma kikulu nnyo era ddabamu abantu bangi ddaba n'abakulembeze abamu abava mu Nakawa West mwebale kusoma mwemirire kale pulezidenti alabe nti ab'Nakawa tusoma obalabye pulezidenti obalabye abo bakansala abafaabu basomye mwebale obutatuswaza ekyokusoma ekyokuyiga kikulu nnyo ate okuyiga tulina okukimanya nti okuyiga waliwo okuyiga okubeera mu kilaasi university naki n'okola degree masters phd n'ebirala naye waliwo n'okuyiga nti ogenda kubangulwa nti eno koosi gye musome oyinza obutagiteeka ku CV yo n'ekuweesa omulimu naye kubangudde tekulese kyekimu balire eno ne ku CV muziteekeko tomanya ojja kutuuka mu ofiisi omuntu ategeere nti ntambuza emirimu gyaffe nga NUP bw'anaalabako kakoosi ajja gamba ono gwe njagala ono abimanyi. Tubayozaayoza mwebale kuwaayo kaseera bw'obeera omukulembeze kirungi okusigala ng'otambulira mu kumanya kubanga okumanya tekukoma. Otuuka ekiseera n'ogamba nti kaakati nze nkikubye nnyo abo otandise okwonooneka. Tulina tambulira mu kumanya, mu kwongerako, mu kwongera okutegeera ensinga bw'etambula. Nelson Mandela yagamba nti education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world. Nti okusoma oba ebyenjigiriza kyakulwanyisa kinene nnyo ekisobola okukozesebwa okukyusa ensi. Ate nga kituufu kubanga abantu baba nga basomyeko nga bayigirivu bibeera byanjawulo, eggwanga eryo libeera lyanjawulo nnyo n'engeri gye balondamu n'engeri gye basalawo engeri gye bateeka abakulembeze ku nninga ebeera yanjawulo. Kyovudde olaba oba oli awo gavumenti eno ebyenjigiriza tebiteekako nnyo ssira. Tubeere mu palamenti nga tubiyombako UPE Universal Primary Education kibayita capitation grant, zino sente zigenda kuyisa omwana ono mu ssomero ebyenjigiriza bye naki. Buli mwaka buli mwana bamusasulira $200 omwaka gwonna, si wiiki si mwezi si taamu, omwaka gwonna. Kakati gwe teebereze $200 omwaka omulamba. Oyo omwana gwe basuubira nti ajja kutuula ebibuuzo bye bimu n'abagenda mu masomero agali wano e Kampala. Oyo mwana gwe basuubira nti ajja kusobola okompiitinga n'abaana abali mu nsi endala zonna, mu nsi yonna. Tekisoboka. Kyobulala tusigala tuli mabega. Ne tugamba nti abasomesa bonna basasulwe bulungi. Gavumenti yo yagamba nti tujja sasulamu abasayansi bokka, ate abalala aba arts bo si basomesa, bo tebasoma, tebasomesa ssaawa ze zimu, tebatula mu classroom y'emu. Of course kyeyakola Mwai Museveni n'abayita n'abakangakanga abo mutagende mu class tujja bagoba. Bambi abasomesa ne batya, aba arts ne baddayo okwekalakasa ne bakuyimiriza ne baddayo okusomesa. Naye ebyaddala bw'obigoberera abasomesa bali mu kibiina naye tebasomesa nga bwe kirina kubeera kubanga tebali motivated, tebajja kuwaayo buli kimu ekibalimu okusomesa abaana bano obulungi kubanga si basanyufu. Kati bajja kusomesako bya mpola mpola. Kati golowooza nti bali mu kibiina basomesa naye nga tebasomesa. Kati obudola baffe tugamba ebintu ebyo tulina obikyusa. Gavumenti yaffe egenda bikyusa, tuteeke essira ku byenjigiriza kubanga abantu abasomyeko abayigirivu tebajja kukola nga bino obuze mulamu wa Museveni alambula n'agenda okulambula abalina obubizi, abalina obukoko obusatu, bambi abantu abaavu najja n'afukamira n'amuwa ebbaasa erimu ba 5,000 bameka. Kati omuntu asomyeko abagamba nedda saagala bbaasa yo, njagala luguudo, njagala mu ddwaliro, twagala mirimu ng'abavubuka. Kati kyogera abatubeezaawo ekyo twagala kikyuke ng'abantu bamanyi ekyokukola, bamanyi ekyokubanja abakulembeze baabwe, si just bbaasa. Twagala okusomoka era pulezidenti njagala kugumya nga tumaze okutwala obukulembeze, ate ekyo nga tekiri wala nnyo. Tulina obumalirivu, tulina obusobozi obuddukanya gavumenti. Kubanga tekikomenda ku bakulembeze nti bafuna zi masters tuzifuna aba Harvard naki. Twagala kireme kukoma ku bakulembeze ab'oku ntikko. Ffenna tubenga tumanyi ekyokukola. Kubanga pulezidenti ng'ali mu State House si abeera akulembera yekka, abeera n'abakulembeze ab'enjawulo. Kati kino kitulaga nti ffe tuli ready okuddukanya gavumenti. Twagala okusoomooza abalala, nomwe mujje musome tulabe nga eggwanga ligenda mu maaso. Congratulations again.